Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio on this Thursday evening by two of Australia's favourite hillbilly celebrities, Sambo and Johnny. How are you, chaps?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good news to me that I am anybody's favorite, a celebrity or a hillbilly. But there you go.
Of the three, which would be the least surprising to you?
Celebrity, I guess. Maybe favorite. Definitely not hillbilly.
Okay, so celebrity would be the most surprising. You'd be most surprised to learn you're a celebrity. Yeah, least surprised to learn you're a hillbilly or someone's favorite.
But
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
middle.
It doesn't help that you play your banjo on your front porch in your underwear and singlet top.
Like, yeah. While your kids like shell peas.
Yeah.
Definitely completes the picture.
It really does.
There's so many places to go in the hillbilly like comedy sphere here, but we're gonna march onwards. We're brewing up a fine moonshine of a podcast for you tonight. There's that for a transition.
Oh, lovely.
Tonight on the show, we are looking at Cats v Eagles, round 10 preview. Can't believe we're at the second last game of the home and away season for the AFLW Cats. So we're going to get into all of that. Then for our Patreon subscribers, we're going to duck over and deliver our weekly Patreon match predictions. If you want to check that out, make sure you go on over to Patreon, type up the Hoops Crew, and sign up for a 7-day free trial. You get extended versions of our podcast. You get bonus episodes during the season, like Wednesday news wraps and VFL men's and women's coverage when those seasons are on. So go on over, sign up, see what it's all about over on Patreon. And chaps, speaking about things people should head over and check out, should definitely direct themselves towards our network sponsor, and that is Cyril Cook Florist. They should go and visit them at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That is Cook with an E. Give them a bell on 035 222 2244, or if you're of a mind and a mood to make use of a 20% in-store discount, then toddle on over to shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Tell them that the Hoops Crew sent you, and they will knock 20% off your next in-store purchase. Cyril Cook Florist, we thank them massively for their sponsorship of not only our podcast, but all the podcasts on the Hoops Crew Media Network. Chaps, let's dive in. It's time. Geelong, they really, for the most part of last weekend, put the sword to the Brisbane Lions down at Cardinia Park. The end margin was 10 points, but, on balance, it was probably a greater demolition than that, the way Geelong controlled large parts of that game. So there's still a glimmer, chaps, as we turn to this game, our 10th of the campaign against the Eagles, another team that at one point in the season looked like they were a lock for a top 8 spot. They are now down here in the mire with us. Sambo, I'll go to you first here tonight. What are your general thoughts as we head to take on Daisy Pearce's Chargers at, you know what the ground is?
Yeah, I can't help but remember it. But you should say it just to remind me for sure. Mineral Resources Park. Mineral Resource Park. Reserve.
Absolutely we are. Of course we are. The most royal palace, MRP.
There be a better venue.
My
general thoughts are I'm feeling pretty relaxed. I feel like we're in this position now where it's not quite the depths of despair because our season's over. We've got to, march ahead, trudge through a couple of games that mean nothing. Like we've got enough of a glimmer that there's that excitement brewing, but at the same time, and beyond this point is a bonus because of the sort of the point we got to a couple of weeks ago. So I think we can and will win. But anything could happen, and yeah, I'm in a pretty good place about it in that regard.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Sam. Like feeling pretty relaxed. Looking forward to a good game against Stacey Pierce's new side. Yeah, not feeling too worried about it. I think we should be able to get it done, as I think we should do every single week. And if we go out and play like we did against Brisbane, I think we'll get a nice comfortable win. Hopefully a big one to really get that finals hope a little bit of a boost. So yeah, very much so, Sam, and just looking forward to a good win, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of factors heading into this game that I suppose Cats fans will be watching, whether we should be focusing on them or not. It starts, this evening as we're recording. We've got Hawthorn hosting Melbourne at Kazali's Stadium in Cairns. The Hawks currently leading 20-7. That result is great for Geelong. Melbourne, one of the three teams currently on 20 points. Now, they sit just outside of the 8 in ninth position, but still that's a team Geelong will have to climb over the top of if they're going to sneak in the back door of the final. So currently that's going the way Geelong would like it to go. The other ones, Chaps, this weekend, Cats will be wanting the Gold Coast Suns, the 17th placed Suns, to pull an upset over Port Adelaide. That's the game that kicks off just before ours in the 4:05 p.m. slot. So again, Port, one of those teams inside the 8, sitting in 7th place on 20 points. If Port win, they will put themselves in a position where they cannot be overcome by the Cats. Then the other game is after hours. So in the space of 3 games, we will have a very good idea of whether we're live going into the final week of the season. Because after we finish up, we'll know. If we've got a win in hand, we'll know we're still live. But then we'll see the Essendon v Tigers game. Essendon in 8th position, also on 20 points. They are taking on the Tigers, who are in 5th spot, up at TIO Stadium in Darwin. So a perfect weekend for the Cats. Looks like losses to the Ds tonight. It looks like a loss for the Power against the Suns. It looks like a win for us against the Eagles, and a loss for the Bombers when they take on Richmond. If all those things happen, Chaps, we will be 2 points outside of the 8 with 1 round to play. It would force a must-win situation against the Crows, and then hoping results go our way. So I hope that happens, even just so that we can have that nail-biting final week of the season. So just to outline the scenario for anyone who didn't know how it would all sort of play out. That leads us to what we can control, and that's team selection. Johnny, going to start with your thoughts here. There's a couple of changes for the Cats. Amy McDonald returns, overcoming that hamstring injury. Rachel Kearns also added to the team after missing last week with concussion. However, the downside of that is Gabby Featherston is unavailable after suffering a hamstring tightness issue against Brisbane, and Chantel Mason will miss Saturday's clash through injury. So I didn't realize that she'd taken an injury issue out of the game against Brisbane. But Johnny, I'll leave it to you to take on thoughts about Amy McDonald's return, and we'll flick to Sambo for his thoughts on what Rachel Kearns' return to the side means. So you lead us off here, Johnny, with AMAC.
Well, that's exciting to have her back. We're just when we need her back in these last couple of crucial must-win games. She adds another absolute dimension to this team, and the way Prasparkas, Morrison have been playing, adding Amy McDonald to that is only going to elevate their danger and their ability to impact the game in other areas. And as I said, Amy McDonald's got that real knack of just being able to find the right player in this mulch of just absolute pressure. Just seems to find either a handball or a quick kick, or finds herself a way through it all, and then be able to get a kick inside 50 or to the side to another player in a really good position. So getting Amy McDonald back is a massive boost, not just to where the Cats play, but the players as well. Just having her back out there, number one best player, just it's going to be a massive boost, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how she goes. Hopefully, she's 100%. Well, she will be 100% fit if she's back, and hopefully she can just slot right back in and start playing the way she played during the early parts of the season, and hopefully gets us this really good win, crucial win.
Yeah, exactly. You just sort of hope she can slot back in and be ready and raring to go. I was just trying to get her stats up, see if she's still leading the Cats for clearances. I think she is, even in total clearances. It wouldn't surprise me if she was. Sambo, Rachel Kearns, tough, combative Irish half back into the side. How much of an impact do you think it is to have Kearns back into the team to take on the Eagles?
I mean, hopefully a huge impact. I know we talk a lot about her sort of individual assets. Her ability to read the play, to read players, to read the ball, to attack ferociously, to really put a bit of fear in the opposition of an impending tackle or a hip and shoulder that may just take them out of action. I guess the question here is how well she will slot into that backline. I have no doubts about her fire to get in and make an immediate impact on the game, her individual ability. But what I would like to see is that she can bring all that and slot it into the backline in the way that the backline was working last weekend. I think it's about the best we've seen the defense work this year. And I think by all, you know, as far as I can see, it should work even better to operate that way with Rachel Kearns added in there and her ferocity and her dare and will to attack the ball. So I'll be really interested to see if they can use that, because it is I would say, we said in our recap, it was a slightly more passive backline, in a good way, and they actually played quite well, being a little bit more set back and reading rather than pushing up and attacking. So I'll be really curious to see. If Rachel coming in, bringing what she brings, makes the overall backline operate slightly less efficiently, but maybe with just that little bit more vigor, or if she'll be able to bring that on and just add it on top of the way that they were sort of operating last week.
Love it. Let's go to our next segment, which is what we want to see. Sambo, we're going to snake back through the order here. So it'll be you, then Johnny, and then I'll close us out. So what's that one thing that you're wanting to see in this game against the Eagles from the Catters?
I guess it's a bit of a weird one. Like, I'm super excited to have our superstar back, to have Amy McDonald back. I hope she has a really good first game back and slots in really well. But it's a bit weird. I think the one thing I would like to see is the other players not step back because she's coming in. Like, obviously you got to fight for the ball. You got to let that player play their role. But I think the adjustment period to her being out was so tough because of how much they do rely on her, how much they look for her, and it can make it really hard to transition the ball when you're always looking for the same player and the opposition knows which player you're going to be looking for. And fortuitously, Amy McDonald is an absolute freak that can, turn coals into diamonds in the pressure cooker. But that being said, the one thing I would like to see is those other players still using each other. I want to see a dynamic and diverse array of targets coming out of the middle and moving it up. Keep the opposition guessing. There's nothing worse than being stagnant and going for the same thing over and over and over again. We've talked about similar things with the delivery inside 50. So I guess it's that kind of idea, but coming out of the middle now. I'd like to see Webster, Morrison, Prasparkas, Bowen, even both Maloney's and Parry when they drift back. I'd like to see a lot of players brought into the possession chains as early as possible. Just to build everyone's confidence and just have a diverse range of moving the ball out of the middle.
I like it. Sam,
Perfect.
Johnny, what about you?
What do I want to see? Obviously, I want to see a win. While I try to think what I want to see.
Stalling.
I just want to see. I just like to see us continue on with our great disposals from last week. Going to take on Sam's last few what he wants to see, and I just want to see a continuation of using our disposals efficiently and cleanly, and not letting the pressure of West Coast get to us, and not succumb to that like we have in previous outings before we played Brisbane. And just see that handball nice and clean, kick nice and clean, take those marks and move it forward efficiently, and not stress too much about the players around you, and just find a way to move it forward and use it cleanly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it made such a massive difference. It's sort of hard to separate from the win last week. Like, what was the defining difference? You could sort of look at it's all parts of it, obviously, but like, where did that turnaround start? I tend to think it was in that cleanness of disposal, because that, there's less turnovers then for the back line to have to defend. There's more control for the Cats with how they move it forward. It forces the other team's midfield to be more accountable. So I think you're right. Like, that is the key area. If we can replicate anything from that win over Brisbane last week, it is the disposal, the cleanliness and efficiency of disposal. Obviously, it'd be nice to start and finish, kicking our goals well as well. That would be really nice to see again. But what I want to see, I'm going to sneak in a couple of a cheeky pair of what I want to see. One of them is I want to see Michaela Bowen have an absolutely massive game against her former side. Specifically, I want to see her hit the score sheet. I'd love to see her kick a goal or two here against former side, the Eagles. Just really enjoy that, particularly playing them back over there in WA. But the other thing I want to see, I'd like to see more signs from Caitlin Thorne and Balakay Smith. Signs that make me think they can be that extra depth on Geelong's list. I think, that there's reason to be excited if those players can put together performances that match sort of their promise, that we can really ease the load and spread the damage in the midfield. I think Balakay Smith has the ability to be a really physical on-ball type of player. Like, I'd probably just like to see her find a little bit more of the footy. I think if you look back through her stats so far in her games, it has been a pretty low disposal count. Caitlin Thorne feels like she's adjusting to the speed of the game pretty quickly. Probably had a few shaky games early, but like last week, I think she racked up 12 touches. I'd like to see that again. If she had, 12, 13, 14 disposals and an improved disposal efficiency, then I'd start to think she's really finding her feet at the AFLW level. So it's probably those two players I'll be focused in on, like amongst everything else. But I would just like to see really promising games from Balakay Smith and Caitlin Thorne. If I've got to put a specific numbers on it, it would be to see Balakay Smith probably crack double-digit disposals, and for Caitlin Thorne, double-digit disposals again, and increase that disposal efficiency in the way she uses the footy. At the moment, she's probably just rushing it a little bit much. I thought you saw that on one of her kicks inside forward 50. She probably had a little bit more time than she thought. But yeah, I think there's some promising signs for those players. All right, that is all for our public part of the show. We're going to duck over now and do our Patreon match prediction. So if you want to join us there, make sure you go on over and hit up a 7-day free trial on the Hoops Crew Patreon. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app on YouTube. Tell a friend that you enjoy the stuff, because nothing matters more to people than that word of mouth advertising.
Go
Until
buy some
next time,
flowers.
that's right, Cyril Cook.
Yeah.
Go Cats!
Go, Cats.
Go Cats!